officials and colleagues across the House for their work on the bill.
The Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Thank you. I apologise to my colleague for the confusion, but I think he might have had a crack already, and no doubt he can be involved in the sandwich. I can be before and after him if he wishes. Mr. Chairman, the first point that I would like to make is to compliment officials who have been involved in the bill, and also the Office of the Clerk, with, for me, what is a new approach, and that is writing the SOPs into the bill in a substantive way. Mr. Speaker, I know that we had some discussions about this process at some stage in the past, and what it does do is it makes the bill much easier to understand, and for people like me who are interested in the changes that the committee's made, which are not quite as well shown in the copy of the bill now, but more importantly, when the Minister's SOPs as proposed are incorporated in this way, it makes it much easier to focus on and to work than trying to work two large pieces of paper and trying to integrate them and to work out how they interrelate with each other. So I want to thank the officials and thank the Clerk's office and I think Parliamentary Council too for their suggestions and their work in the area. Now, having said that, it may be that officials and the Minister regret the fact that it is now easier to understand because there are more questions which flow, I think, from a better understanding of it. And one of, the very first one that I have goes on page 61, subclause 3, and the definition of departmental. And it's really just a question of why do we need to define departmental? I mean, who doesn't know what departmental expenses are? For a very long time we've had departmental expenses, we've had departmental capital expenditure. It's been around. I think most of the stuff has been around ever since we sort of divided out the accounts to have a profit and loss account and as far as the government's concerned, and a balance sheet. And that's at the point when operating expenses and capital expenditure were divided. And my question is really, why do we need to get to the level of pedantry of having this level of definition? Now, there might be a good reason. And the next point I would like to ask is whether they don't number the lines the way they used to. This is a bit shocking. And now we're going to have some criticism. What we used to have in well-drafted bills down the side, about every 10... Have we? Yes. Well, I can't see it.
You're looking at the track version.
I'm looking at the track version. Well, what I want on the track... Well, what's the point of having a track version if you don't have the lines on it? Because, for people like me who want to speak and focus, and it makes it a lot easier rather than having to count down all the lines, using our fingers and our toes if we have to go too far. It actually helps to have them numbered every 10 or so in order to help. So if we want a suggestion back for people who are doing tracked versions in the future, put the lines in the way that they are in the report back version. Clearly they'll be at different points, and as long as we know what we're referring to, it would be helpful. I want to refer to Lend Money A, which is on page 62, and is right below the bit about host department. Just to make it clear, it's in Part 2, Clause 59, I think. Yes, the new Section 2. Amended, which is the interpretation part. And I want to refer to Lend Money and first of all to ask whether the Clause A1 could be better referred to as the Media Works exemption clause, because this is deferring payment for any goods or services supplied or constructed for any person, organisation or government. Now, so the question is, whether this deferred payment arrangement should be known as the Stephen Joyce previously owned companies clause, or some other approach like that. Mr. Chairman.
The Honourable Trevor Mallard.
5 minutes already? That's hard to believe. Mr. Chairman, I was hardly started, Mr. Chairman. Now the next question I've got under lend money. It says where the department, or I assume it's the department, is entering into hire purchase agreements or agreements that are the same or substantially similar nature. Now the question I've got is, doesn't it depend on which end of the hire purchase agreement they're in? If they're buying something on hire purchase, surely they are borrowing rather than lending. So if a department, or unlikely that a major government department would enter into a hire purchase agreement, but under 3, which is the next section, where they're entering into finance lease arrangements, again, the normal finance lease arrangements are those where they are in fact borrowing, where they are getting goods and entering into some sort of finance leasing arrangement, done, I think, often by government departments who involves these massive big printing photocopiers, cars, some similar arrangements like that. What are effectively lease type arrangement. But, Mr. Speaker, I cannot perceive of where it would be appropriate for a department or a Crown entity or a Crown agency to be the lender in such a circumstance. Do we really want the Ministry of Social Development to start getting into the car lease business? The hire purchase finance company for cars, or is it maybe it's a plan for the Minister in the chair and her area as Associate Minister of Education as far as technology is concerned, and maybe it would be valid. It might well be valid if we are going to go into schools and have arrangements whereby there are computers, iPads, iPhones given to families on some sort of arrangements. I don't want to characterise the minister in the chair as someone, one of the loan shark type people who enters into the high interest rate arrangements, because I think that would be unfair. But is my question, and she could ask it with answer it with some of her other experience, is whether in fact this clause is designed for arrangements such as that, because I frankly can't think of arrangements where it's appropriate for the Crown or a Crown agency or a department to be the loan shark, the finance company end of a hire purchase arrangement with the public, or in a finance lease arrangement. Mr. Speaker, I do want to ask questions in relation to the responsible minister as far as it relates to the Speaker and the officers of Parliament, and really I want to, I don't want to go back too much over the previous part of the bill, but to ask through you, Mr. Chair, the Minister who is currently in the chair, about the interrelationship between the salary setting and the responsible minister being the Speaker. Now, it's something which I've clearly got some interest in making sure that the rules are right in this area, Mr. Chairman, and I want to ask how this interrelates, for example, with a policy decision to move within this complex towards a living wage over a period of time. Is it a policy decision that the minister responsible can take under subclause 5 in this particular area, or is it something which only the chief executive, or who I understand is called the general manager within the parliamentary service, the clerk, in other cases, or in other cases again, the ombudsman or a number of others. Can the minister in charge make those policy decisions? I'll come back.
I call the Honourable Minister Nikki Kay.
Mr Chair, look, it's a pleasure to take a call. I have listened to several